Question 71. A dual agency is permissible if A. The agent deals impartially with each party. B. The agent carries out his fiduciary duties to each party. C. Each party provides written consent to the dual agency. D. All of the above. Correct answer is D. All of the above. Dual agency, where a real estate agent represents both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction, is permissible only if all of the following conditions are met. A. The agent deals impartially with each party. B. The agent carries out his fiduciary duties to each party. The agent owes fiduciary duties: loyalty, confidentiality, obedience, disclosure, reasonable care, and accountability to both the buyer and the seller. This can be challenging in a dual agency situation. C. Each party provides written consent to the dual agency. Both the buyer and the seller must be fully informed of the dual agency relationship and give their informed, written consent to it. This disclosure and consent are crucial for the dual agency to be legal and ethical. It is advisable that dual agents be experienced and sophisticated in their approach to the agency. Also, exclusive buyer's agents are never dual agents. Question 72. An escrow agent must be A. Chosen by the seller alone. B. Known and consented to by both parties. C. A dual agent. D. Both B and C. Correct answer is D. Both B and C. An escrow agent is a neutral third party who holds funds and documents related to a transaction until all the conditions of the agreement are met. While an escrow agent isn't a real estate agent acting in dual agency in the traditional sense, representing both buyer and seller in the sale itself, the escrow agent does owe fiduciary-like duties to both parties in the escrow transaction. They hold funds and documents in trust for both buyer and seller and must act impartially. So, while the term dual agent isn't typically applied to escrow agents, the principle of them acting for both parties with fiduciary responsibilities is correct. Both parties must consent, and the escrow agent acts in a quasi-fiduciary capacity for both. Because the escrow agent is handling funds and important paperwork for both the buyer and the seller, both parties must be aware of and consent to the choice of escrow agent. The seller cannot unilaterally choose the escrow agent without the buyer's agreement. Question 73. A negligently or wrongfully performed act which causes a breach of a lawfully imposed duty is called A. Crime. B. Writ. C. Tort. D. Malfeasance. Correct answer is C. Tort. A tort is a civil wrong that causes harm to another, leading to legal liability for the person committing the tort. Negligence is a common type of tort. It involves a failure to exercise reasonable care, resulting in damage or injury to another. A breach of a lawfully imposed duty, if it causes harm, can be the basis for a tort claim. Damage is the financial loss or injury to a person caused by misconduct, mistake, or accident, a tort. Question 74. Owner Owen signs a written contract with buyer Bob to sell a property. 6 months later, Owen tells Bob he has changed his mind and will not go through with the transaction. What is the deadline, if any, for Bob to file a lawsuit to compel Owen to complete the purchase deal? A. 1 year. B. 4 years. C. 7 years. D. There is no filing deadline in such cases. Correct answer is B. 4 years. In California, the statute of limitations for a breach of a written contract, including a real estate purchase agreement, is generally 4 years. This means Bob has 4 years from the date Owen breached the contract to file a lawsuit to compel Owen to sell the property. Specific performance. Question 75. For a broker with a non-exclusive listing to be legally entitled to a commission, she must be able to prove that A. She was a licensed broker at the time of the property transaction. B. She found a ready, willing, and able purchaser for the property on the agreed-upon terms. Correct answer is D. All of the above. To earn a commission on a non-exclusive listing, the broker must meet all of these criteria. A. She was a licensed broker at the time of the property transaction. This is a fundamental requirement for any legal commission. B. She found a ready, willing, and able purchaser for the property on the agreed-upon terms. The broker needs to produce a buyer who is financially qualified and prepared to purchase the property under the terms specified in the listing agreement. C. She was the procuring cause of the transaction being closed. With a non-exclusive listing, the broker must demonstrate that their efforts were the direct cause of the sale. This is the most crucial and often disputed element. Simply finding a buyer isn't enough. The broker's actions must have led to the sale. If another broker or the seller themselves finds the buyer, The broker with the non-exclusive listing may not be entitled to a commission. Procuring cause means the sale would not have occurred but for the broker's efforts. Question 76. An intangible but valuable business asset based on the expectation of continued patronage by customers is called A. Public use. B. Anticipated income. C. Goodwill. D. Hoped for revenue. Correct answer is C. Goodwill. Goodwill is viewed as an intangible asset since it is not a physical asset like inventory or machinery. Goodwill is representing the positive reputation and customer loyalty of a business. It's the value of the business beyond its physical assets, stemming from factors like brand recognition, customer relationships, and positive reputation. It leads to the expectation of continued patronage and contributes to the overall value of the business. Goodwill is usually assigned a monetary value when companies are being evaluated in the course of a sale. Question 77. All of the following are included in the bundle of legal rights, except A. Right of survivorship. B. Right of possession. C. Right of exclusion. D. Right of enjoyment. Correct answer is A. Right of survivorship. The bundle of legal rights associated with real property ownership includes the rights of possession, control, enjoyment, exclusion, and disposition. The right of survivorship is a characteristic of joint tenancy, not a general right included in the bundle of rights for all property ownership. It's a specific feature of how co-owners hold title in joint tenancy. Question 78. In a bilateral contract, and promise is offered in bargaining for a return promise. If the returned promise is given, it is considered to be A. An option. B. Consideration. C. A unilateral agreement. D. None of the above. Correct answer is B. Consideration. In a bilateral contract, both parties make promises to each other. The promise offered by one party is exchanged for a promise from the other party. This exchange of promises is what constitutes consideration. Consideration is a necessary element for a valid contract. Consideration for a contract need not be money. It may be a promise. Question 79. RESPA, Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, applies to lenders who makes federally related loans to A. Properties valued at $250,000 or more. B. 1. 4 family unit residential dwellings. C. Subdivisions. D. Commercial buildings. Correct answer is B1. 4 family unit residential dwellings. RESPA is designed to protect consumers in residential real estate transactions. RESPA mandates that lenders of federally related mortgage loans make all necessary disclosures to loan recipients. It applies to federally related mortgage loans secured by 1. 4 family residential properties. It does not apply to commercial loans, large acreage tracts, or other types of real estate. The value of the property is not a determining factor for RESPA applicability. Question 80. Placing 2 or more contiguous units under the same ownership in order to increase their value is called A. Plottage. B. Dual ownership. C. Ownership in severalty. D. The common ownership strategy. Correct answer is A. Plottage. The combining of parcels of real estate is known as assemblage. The increase of value is called plottage. Plottage is the increase in value that results from combining 2 or more adjacent properties into a single, larger parcel. The combined parcel is often worth more than the sum of the individual properties because it allows for more development options or more efficient use of the land.